This episode is brought to you by
Intrinsic Design is a residential and commercial building design firm with over 20 years' experience working for local architects and builders on various residential and commercial structures throughout Central Texas and beyond. Owned and operated by Michael Washam, you can reach him by phone at 254-913-5753 or by email at intrinsicdesign@gmail.com. That's NTRINSIC design@gmail.com. You can also check them out on Facebook.
They'll talk about anything and to anyone. They're straight out of the streets of Temple, Texas. It's Randomness with Heath and Josh.
All right, we're back. What's going on, Josh? How you doing?
Doing well. I remembered all my passwords today.
Hey, you know what? It's funny you bring that up. Today at work, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and it's the last day of the month for us. So it's like all our sales and everything. You're pushing, and dude, I forgot to do registrations for whatever reason. I forgot it today. It's like, why am I forgetting password? And then I forgot another one, and then just a bunch of other stuff went wrong. But anyway, yeah, the old passwords, and it's like you're trying to hide the password somewhere so no one else will see it, but you don't want to put them in your phone because then they'll get them out your phone.
Right. If you go to people's desks and you flip over their keyboards,
you'll
find their passwords.
Right. I don't even put mine there. That's a good. Maybe I shouldn't.
Or I've seen people just straight up sticky note on the monitor, like.
Oh yeah, those are the people. I'm like, come on now. All right.
Yeah.
I have mine hidden. I'm not going to tell you where because anyway. But anyway, we actually recorded an episode yesterday, so not a whole lot has happened in our lives since yesterday. So usually
hours.
we talk about hey, what's gone on in the last week because we do this weekly. But so hasn't a whole lot of things haven't gone on. So what I did want to share with y'all before we jump in with our guest is, so we had kind of teased that there was a big thing coming up for us. So it's official now. On May 30th, we'll be doing a live show, our first live show in 3 years and 152 episodes. We'll be doing, or more than that at that point, a live show at Neighbors on 7th and Temple. We'll be doing a pre-show to Greatness and Tragedy is Back, if you will. They're promoting it as Greatness and Tragedy, the band, if y'all don't know who that is coming back and doing their first show since they're back in Temple. So they're going to do that there. And if you don't know who that is, go look them up. The great band. They're amazing. And Kirk Baxley, who's been on the show twice, he is actually the front man of that band. Just an amazing human being, nicest dude in the world, an amazing front man. And I am a friggin' concert goer. And let me tell you, the dude is an amazing singer, and he's just such a good a front man. So come hang out with us. What we'll do, I think the music starts at 6, which there's an opener, and I don't know the opener yet. Starts at 6. I think Greatness will go on around 7:30, but we're going to be there a couple hours before, thinking somewhere around 4. We'll start the live show where we're just kind of there talking to people, and we'll have a little bit of an outline of things we're going to do. Hopefully get Kirk and the band to come over and talk to us. Maybe get, plus Rob Brandenburg, shout out Rob. He's the owner, a good friend of ours. He'll come over. Maybe we'll get some of the bartenders to come over and talk to us just to have some fun. Watch Temple will also be there, Jose Reyes, and he's going to come talk to us and whatnot. And then I think how we're going to do it is when the show is about to start, we will actually turn our show off because Watch Temple will be the live stream. So then we'll switch over to them to be able to watch the show if you're not there.
Yeah.
And one other thing is we are also going to do another live show sometime in the summer at a new location that's opening up in Temple, but that's all I can tell you right now. So it's a place that everybody's been waiting to open up finally. So that doesn't give it away. I don't know what will. But yeah. Anyway, Josh, you got anything at all? You do anything since yesterday?
No, just enjoying the rain that's outside.
Yeah, just I've slept since then, basically, is all you can tell us. Yeah. Right on. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and jump in. Our guest, he's a former chief of medical operations for the United States Army and USA Pickleball Ambassador, George Olivencia. Did I say that right, George?
Yeah.
All right, I remembered
Welcome.
the Vince. I got it. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. I want to say I love your shirt, Heath. I grew up in New York City, and I remember the Beastie Boys back in the early '80s when they were a hardcore band. We used to all hang out in the same area down in Tompkins Square Park in New York City, man. And all these
Nice.
bands that you see nowadays. I seen them all. Down there. Down in either CBGBs or one of the other clubs down there.
Nice.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you saw them pre-rap then?
Oh,
like
yeah,
when they
yeah.
were-
Oh, yeah.
Doing punk rock, yeah.
We all used to hang out at Tompkins Square Park together,
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, and we actually had a crew. We were called the Lower East Side Crew. Everybody that would hang out down there in Alphabet City. And so that's what we were called. And then I don't know if you ever heard of a band called Warzone. Okay, it was a hardcore band. They're still around nowadays. But they put us on the map with the Lower East Side Crew. And that's how things evolved.
Right
Awesome.
on.
Yeah.
I just noticed that Mike D is now doing some shows with his sons. They're playing the instruments.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
whoa, that's pretty cool. I mean, because obviously, being that MCA is gone, it's hard to even want to go see the Beastie Boys. Does that make sense? It's like it's
Yeah.
hard to be so. But in that aspect, with his sons, I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Supporting his
Oh,
son.
yeah.
So, well, all right, man, a Beastie Boy tangent. Gotta love that. So since you mentioned that, that's where we're going to kind of start. Is where were you born? Kind of your upbringing and whatnot. And how did you make your way to? Maybe we don't do that far because we'll have to kind of go into your beginnings before. But we'll get to how you got to the Temple area.
So I was born in Manhattan. My family's from Manhattan, and I was pretty much raised in the Bronx. So what all these connections that I have to pickleball, I started off as a handball and a paddleball player, and I played that for many years. And I brought it anywhere I went into the Army. I brought it into the racquetball courts, and so you would have a lot of East Coast players playing handball and paddleball inside the racquetball courts. And then at some point, things started to change with me, and I wasn't playing as much as I used to when I was younger, and I became an avid runner, and I would I would do these ultra marathons, these half marathons. Those were used to be, just my little warm ups.
Yeah.
But I can no longer do that at some point. I was diagnosed with cancer back in 2000, late 2000, right before the beginning of the year, the new year. And, I could no longer run anymore. I couldn't do the things that I used to do. And I have a younger uncle who's only like 10 years older than me. And he goes, hey, I'm coming to visit you. And I'm like thinking in the back of my mind, hey, that's great. I know some people, we could get together and we could play some handball or paddleball, whatever you want. He goes, no, we're not playing that anymore. We're playing pickleball. I'm like, what the hell is pickleball? So I looked it up. I was like, yeah, this looks stupid. Whatever it is dumb. This is stupid. And he came down, and within 5 minutes, I was hooked to the game. Pretty much, it's one of those things. If you ask anybody, how long did it take you to get hooked to the game? They're like, oh, it was instantly, it was instant type of thing. So either you're going to like it or, you'll piddle around with it for a while, and then, you'll get into it, and here I am some, 5 years later, and I'm playing the senior pro singles. So I've done a couple of those on the tour. I'm the USA District Regional Recreational Specialist and a District Ambassador for USA Pickleball. I host numerous tournaments throughout the U.S., specifically the East Side and parts of Texas. We are about getting ready to launch a semi-pro team in the area, in the Central Texas area.
Okay.
So we're going to have our first semi-pro team out here. Hopefully, within the next 2 months, we will be announcing the team, and that team will be playing on the UPL circuit. So there's some big money to be had at the end of this tour with the UPL. So the players can make up to $75,000, and that's good for
Wow.
for amateur players.
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a big thing. We're gonna leave all the Austin crew, with their little teams over there. They're gonna have to come and play us. We're not gonna go over there and play them. Yeah. So.
I like how you put that. Their little teams.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say 7,500. I was like, all right. And you said, God dang.
It's awesome. A big purse. It's a big purse that they could win at the end of the year. So that's kind of awesome for the players.
Right on.
Yeah.
But before we talk about your military career, because I do want to touch on that before we get too deep in the other. Explain pickleball and here's why I'm asking. Not just because you're on here. I don't really know. I know what it is. I've never watched anyone play it ever. So all I know is it's like a shorter distance version of tennis. That's all I know.
So basically, it's just a bunch of adults playing with a plastic ball. If you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's all it is. But so it has some aspects of badminton, tennis, and ping pong or table tennis, you want to say. When we're and the court is real small. It's a regulation size badminton court. It's just 2 inches wider than badminton courts because of the lines are inclusive when we play. So when we're at the baseline at the back serving and stuff, we use a badminton type of serve underhand.
Oh.
When we're in the middle of the court, what's called the transition zone, we're a little bit more like tennis. We're driving the ball, into vacant spots on the court. And then once we get to what's called the no volley zone, can be straight up table tennis with fast hands, real fast hands, and everybody's, trying to pressure their opponents, to either miss the ball or pop up the ball so we can slam the ball down. So, it has a little bit of aspects of all three games.
Okay. And I said we were going to go back, but screw it. Let's talk about pickleball.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. I do want to hit it because it's very important to talk about it because serving our country and all that. I definitely want to hear about it, and I'm sure there's some ties there too. But now I forgot what it was because I made myself laugh. But as far as that's what it was. Pickleball. Where did it come from? Because I read 2 or 3 different things as far as why it's called pickleball.
So it began in Washington with a bunch of adults back in 1965. Gen X generation, that's us. So it began in 1965 where the adults, they had nothing to do for their kids. Back then, we all grew up in the 70s and in the early 80s. We didn't have nothing to do, right? Or, just go outside or whatever. So they were on their vacation. This group, they go to this island and there's really nothing for the kids to do. So they go and they decide, okay, we got a badminton court here. Let's put up a net, and let's try and figure something out. So they were originally using a wiffle ball, ping pong paddles. And then before the week was up, they had like the whole neighborhood of adults playing this game and creating the rules. And they were making their own paddles out of wood and stuff, and the kids got left out. They pushed the kids off the court, and it just grew from there steadily, through the 70s, the 80s. And then now, you see it's huge. It's everywhere now. It's growing so fast.
Yeah. Right. But where did the name come from? Because I've heard it came from boat, like a rowboat thing. I've heard it about their dog, which can't be true because they didn't get that dog until 3 years after it was.
That's true.
So what's the actual reason?
I think the closest thing would be the boat,
Okay.
We definitely know for sure it's not the dog because the dog came years after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it has to be, doing with the boat and, the rowing teams and stuff like that, and they would have a pickle or whatever. The person that was calling or whoever's sitting in that seat was the pickle seat or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but who knows? Yeah. But I think personally, it came from the sound that the ball made hitting the paddle. You know what I mean? Because it does sound like it's saying pickle. You know, every time you hit the paddle, you know, on the ball, it's like boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, it's distinct sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a
Now
distinct
I
sound.
got to go watch some
Yeah.
YouTube videos because I want to hear that say pickle. It's funny too, you know, because I'm just a big kid or whatever. But the first time I heard someone say something about pickleball, I'm like, what the hell is pickleball? I don't have nothing to do with pickleball. Sounds ridiculous. And now it's just like everybody's doing it, you know. And well, I guess not everybody, but close. But I was just telling Josh before we came on, like, you know, there's a lot of businesses that are going out of business because of way Amazon and all these other, you know, everybody stays at home to shop now. You're seeing all these grocery stores in our area that are closing down, and guess what's going in there? Pickleball courts.
Pickleball courts, for sure.
So you'll see a lot of them, and there's a really big one up here. I'm in the actual near Denton. I'm north of Dallas, and there's tons of them here now.
Yeah.
But I need to just, I guess, watch some and walk in and say, "Look, fat guy's here. Let's do this."
Yeah, we got plenty of friends up there in the Denton area that play pickleball, and you know, it's a small community. Even though it's growing real fast, it's a really, really small community. You know, it's almost as small as the handball and paddleball community. And one time I was in Georgetown at the McMaster's courts. This is when I was first learning how to play. And I hear this guy talking. And I go, that guy's from New York. I know off the bat, you know, he's from New York. I can hear his brogue. And I go, hey, you're from New York? He's like, yeah, I'm moving over here because my son, you know, him and his family, they moved here with a job, you know, I'm retired, you know, so I figure I'll come live out here, you know? And I said, well, hey, did you play a lot of handball paddle? He goes, oh yeah, for sure. He goes, you know, that's all we did in the 70s and the 60s, you know? And I go, well, would you know somebody named Carlos Garter? He's, you know, a paddleball champion back in the 70s. You know, he pretty much ran those tournaments, just, you know, golds out the wazoo, you know, during the Budweiser days. And he goes, I know Carlos very well. He goes, matter of fact, I was talking to him, you know, a couple of weeks ago. I said, well, he's my uncle. He's the one who actually introduced me to pickleball. And I go, that's a small world. And that happened to me 2 more times playing pickleball, you know, just meeting people. Another time I was playing indoors in Killeen. I see this really short guy. And so I thought, you know, it's raining outside. So I thought it was one of the guys from the Sun City community, the retirement community that was coming in to play. I'm like, hey, you one of the Sun City crew? He goes, no, I'm from New York. And I'm like, oh, yeah. He goes, I'm from New York. But the guy looked real familiar to me. So I knew, you know, that I met him before. I was like, man, I swear I met you before. And he goes, well, not unless if you lived in the Bronx. And I said, I am from the Bronx, you know. He goes, we were talking about something. And I said, well, you know, my family's, you know, have a huge connection to paddleball. And he goes, you're not related to Carlos and Mooney and them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm George. He goes, I know you. I remember you when you was a kid and you guys used to come out to the courts when you were about 6 or 7 and come out to the courts of Mount Eden. And he goes, Carlos and I, your uncle and I, he says, back in the late 90s and 2000s, we were doubles partners for almost 20 years. You know, as a matter of fact, he introduced me to pickleball, he said, you know. So that's how small the community is, right?
All right.
Yeah. So fast forward to like last year, my father-in-law calls me. He lives in Naples, Florida, and he goes, "Hey, Jimmy Brown says hi." I'm like, "Jimmy Brown?" He goes, "Yeah, Jimmy Brown is my neighbor over here, and he moved in not so long ago, you know, because they snowbird over there. So I know Jimmy Brown from playing over here in Texas. He's a senior pro player, so he was one of the players that, you know, kind of coached me along to start playing in senior play events, you know. And so I was like, man, you know, I said, I keep having these weird events with pickleball, you know, so it's just pretty cool, you know, the people that you meet, the stories that you see, you know, it's just wild stories, man, stories, yeah.
What's the average age of people that you see playing?
50 plus.
Okay.
I mean,
All
it's
right.
just now that we're starting to see the younger players come in, especially with the younger pros. The young pros, they're bringing in younger players.
Okay.
So you're now starting to see a lot more youth leagues happening, and this has only been within the last 2 or 3 years. I've only been playing. This is I'm going on my 6th year here soon. Entering to the 6th year of playing, and when I first started playing, you didn't hear nothing about youth leagues or anything like that. So over the last couple of years, now we're starting to see all these youth leagues, and
Right on.
trying to get more kids involved with the sport.
You have to get it in the Olympics, man.
Oh yeah, it's coming. I mean, we started it off in the Special Olympics last year, and it was awesome.
Oh, really?
We had the event over here in Austin, so it was great to see all those athletes out there and just playing pickleball.
Right on. I think Josh has some randomness pickleball paddles over there. You see it in the background.
Yeah, he comes out every now and then and plays with us.
Yeah, I've been busy lately. I haven't been out to the
paddles.
courts. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna get back out there soon.
right on.
Looking to escape the ordinary and explore the extraordinary? Meet Jani Kovacevic, your personal luxury travel expert. Whether you're craving an epic expedition to the Arctic, a sun-soaked all-inclusive getaway, or a once-in-a-lifetime trip with the whole family, Jani curates every detail for a seamless, unforgettable experience.
From bucket list adventures to multi-generational family vacations, she tailors travel to your pace, your passions, and your people, with luxury every step of the way.
Don't just travel, explore in style, discover with ease, and make memories that last forever.
Call 254-721-2000 or visit travelbyjani.com and start planning your dream escape today.
All right, let's jump back and then we'll get back into the pickleball because it's going to all come together. So we've mentioned your military career. What led you to serve, and how did that journey?
So, I was in college, and I was pretty much smoking a lot of weed and drinking a lot of beer and not going to class.
That's fair. It happens.
So it happens, right? I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, and I was young at the time. I got into college when I was 17.
How old are you? Because just real
I'm 57.
quick,
I'm 57.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah,
we're
57.
a little younger. Okay, I was just trying to figure that out. All right.
Yeah, so I'm 57. So I got into college young, and in New York City, I wasn't driving out there, so I was taking a bus to get to university and stuff, and so it was taking me about an hour, So I was just getting bored really fast. I have ADHD, so I was getting bored really fast with taking this bus, nothing to do and everything. So I got to meet some people. Hey, you want to smoke a joint or whatever for class? Yeah. And before one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I wasn't going to class anymore. And so I had this other uncle. He was in the Army at the time. He was still serving. And his wife was just happened to be a recruiter. She's like, hey, are you interested in going into the Army? I'm like, hell no, I'm not interested in that shit, man. This was right, this was like the late 80s, I'm like, I'm not interested in that crap. She goes, well, how about the National Guard? You only have to do like one weekend or something like that, I'm like, well, that sounds maybe kind of cool. She goes, yeah, they pay you and everything. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So I joined the National Guard, and I was in the National Guard for about a year and a half. All right. I had never went to basic training or anything like that. I was just there drilling, doing whatever I was doing. And I met this one guy at one point. He came around to the armory. He was an actual active duty recruiter. And he was like, hey, are you interested, in going active duty? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. I wasn't doing nothing, so I was doing that with my life.
I like how you put that. Yeah, sure. Right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll do it.
I could dedicate my life to this. Let's do this.
Yeah. So, I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't think nothing of it, and then he called me the next day, come to my house, pick me up, I'm like, okay, so I'm doing all the physical and everything the next day because I had been to the National Guard, but I still hadn't been a basic or anything. So I had to do everything all over again. The physical, the tests and everything and stuff like that. So by the time I get to active duty basic training, I was already an E4 specialist. So they put me in charge. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. I was Fort Leonard Wood, just marching and everything. The
How
National
old were you
Guard.
at this point?
Yeah, I want to say I was already kind of like 21 by that point. I think.
Yeah, put the 21-year-old guy in charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was 21. Yeah, about 21, right about then. And so I joined the Army. I'm doing this stuff. I'm doing my thing. And by the time I graduate basic training and get to AIT, now I was promotable to an E5 to a sergeant. I'm like, I get over there. I don't have to live with these privates anymore. I got my own. I was like, man, this is freaking great. I think I could do this for the rest of my life. Kind of chill. Take college classes whenever I wanted to, type of deal. And so that's what it wound up becoming. Just me, just going from place to place. Just chilling out. And at some point I met my wife. And we have kids and stuff like that. And she was in the Army as well, but. It was just that, I'm grateful for it because, it gave me the discipline to at some point just sit down, finish college, get a master's degree, start working on a PhD type of deal stuff, so it kind of worked out for me,
Awesome.
Right. Well, you did it for how long? 30 years?
32 years. Yeah. 32.
Yeah. I think it worked out for you.
Yeah.
It worked out for you pretty well.
It worked out. Yeah.
What did you, I mean, I know you ended up doing like chief of medical operations.
Yeah.
And whatnot, but how was there like what was your process to get there? And then explain what chief medical operations is. You weren't like, you were, anyway, I'll let you explain it.
Right. So my job entailed, my last assignment, I was working for the Surgeon General OCAR, and that's a general, right? And so I had a nominative position. It's what I call a nominative position. So basically, when COVID kicked off, right, we couldn't go anywhere, and so I was supposed to be over at the Pentagon, but I couldn't move because COVID was going on. So they gave me a separate office on poster on Fort Hood. And so what I was doing was I was supposed to be tracking all the patients that were coming through and from overseas. We're getting a lot of COVID patients from Germany, all those places. And so they were coming here to the Soldier Recovery Unit. So I had an office in that building. And so, I worked with that, and I worked on the informatics for all of that. And then I was doing that for about a year and a half. And then when I got diagnosed with cancer, so now I went from being an assistive staff person to that soldier. They would come to me for all kinds of stuff and I really had nothing to do with them, but they were so cool, that I did anything for them and they would do anything for me, and, even though I was just sharing an office with them, there were some things that we had to communicate with each other every now and then, but it was just like so rare, but, I got real close with a lot of the staff members that were there. And, for me transitioning from being assistant staff to a patient now to being a complex care patient, it was awesome because I knew everybody, that was there, my nursing care team, I knew them, it was just an easy transition for me. But, by the time I got to my last assignment, I had done so many different things in the Army. It was incredible. I went from being a medic in the Army to being a nurse, and then an OR tech, and then an informatics. Once I got my degree, I became an informatics through the Army and went into medical services. And so, it was just, just a phenomenal experience, the different type of assignments I had. I worked in a prison for the Army, who the hell has that, nobody could really say that except for like MPs. Yeah, I worked in the prison for the Army, So I got to see all of Korea for 2.5 years. That's all I did until they finally kicked me out. It's like, you got to go back to the States. I did all these weird assignments downrange in Iraq, Kuwait, and just a lot of different places, with assignments that people never even heard of, jobs type of things, and things I never heard of, like, what, you want us to do what? Yeah, sure. Yeah,
well,
that sounds like an interesting assignment. Yeah.
What was your least favorite assignment? And then to rebuttal to that, what was your most favorite?
I would say my least favorite assignment would have to be getting when I was a sergeant and I was assigned to a line unit, which means infantry unit. It was a straight leg unit, meaning there was no vehicles or no
Oh,
no parachutes in it. We were strictly walking everywhere, you know. And I was young. I was young back then. I think
where
I
were
was
you
22,
stationed
23.
when you're stationed?
No, this was I was stationed in this unit in Korea. This was
Oh, okay.
another time that I was in Korea, so I had that assignment. Good thing that was a short, curtailed assignment. It got curtailed on me short. You know, I didn't wind up spending 12 months there. I spent the most. I think it was 7 or 8 months at the most. When you add in leave and all that other stuff, it gets even shorter. The time gets even shorter. But yeah, that was probably because I don't like walking, man. I'm like, who the hell wants to walk? That's why I became a medic in the Army, so I didn't have to walk anywhere. I thought it was a cool job. I
Yeah.
didn't have to do anything.
Right.
And then, my best assignment, I guess it had to be when I went back to Korea again, and driving all over the peninsula, working for 8th Army Confinement Facility. That was a great assignment. I got to see the whole country, just drove everywhere. I got to meet a lot of interesting people, especially the Koreans themselves. I got to meet a lot of them. A lot of people don't notice, but we have a lot of American GIs that are what's called they're on a SOFA status agreement inside Korean prison. And so we would have to go visit these inmates, and we would, bring them their food, their mail, and all kinds of stuff that the
Wow.
Korean inmates didn't have. They had
Huh.
bunk beds in there and all kinds of shit. I'm like, man, that's a lot of
Wow.
stuff, man. So we would have to bring these guys all this stuff. Every time they got a new one or had one that moved out, we would have to, take their bunks out, do whatever, take
Huh.
possessions if they left it, and then bring it back to on base. So
That's interesting.
it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool assignment.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hey, how have you incorporated or let me reword that. Have you brought in some of your people, or I don't know how to even word this, like from in the military now to pickleball? And
yeah.
and and are, is that helping them
So-
with their mental state or anything?
Oh
whatever?
yeah. So when I was going through my chemo treatments, right, I was assigned a soldier recovery unit, and when I got introduced to pickleball, so I was trying to bring pickleball to the soldier recovery unit, but at stationed at Fort Hood, but they had it in some of the other locations and some of the other bases at the soldier recovery unit, and this was one of the places that didn't have it, and so they just wouldn't listen to me, whatever. I'm like, hey, this is going to be a great event. Just, I'm doing it. I'm going every day, to play, at this time. I'm going every day to play. I'm going, with chemo. I've got a pump on me. I'm addicted. I got my chemo pump on me, and everybody's looking at me like, man, you're going to die on this court. But, but I met a lot of other retired vets that, had already gone through chemo and stuff like that, and so they kind of like took me under their wing. I met Monroe Woodard and Esteban Espada, right? Both retired military. And they were both with USA Pickleball. I was like, man, this is pretty cool that I can meet these high-level players here that are USA Pickleball ambassadors. So they kind of took me under their wing. They seemed, I was, desperate to play all the time, just wanting to be involved with it as much as possible. And so I had left the soldier recovery unit when I retired out, medically retired out. I had left the Monroe's card. So fast forward a few months later, I had retired. I think it was like a July. So in comes October. Now they have no money for funding for adaptive sports for the soldier recovery unit. So they call Monroe up, and at that time I had already become an ambassador myself, a USA Pickleball ambassador myself, and we was meeting adaptive players in chairs and stuff like that. So the soldier recovery unit calls up Monroe. Monroe and we go over to the soldier recovery unit. We tell them what we can do and how we can do it, and introduce these players to it. And so we did that, and they love it. I mean, we still got a lot of players that were in the surgery recovery unit that have since left, retired, or sent back to their unit, that still they still send us text messages on our Team Reach app that we have, and so they're always sending pictures like, hey man, look, I won this tournament, I'm doing this, I'm involved in this tournament.
That's awesome.
So that led to we were hosting a soldier recovery unit on base one day, and then over at Heights Athletic Club another day. So somebody, the VA had called us up one time and like, hey, can you introduce these people to pickleball? And we said, sure. So we did it up in Temple. And then they went and started doing their own thing. And then at some point, they had money they had some grant funding to give to military adaptive court sports. So military adaptive court sports, they got in contact of myself in Monroe. And now we have the soldier recovery unit that we do on base, and then we have the VA's recovery adaptive program, similar to the soldier recovery. It's a whole health. So we're doing their clinics for them on Thursday mornings, for 3 hours, and then on Thursday evenings we have the Arc of Bell County. So that's all the people that are, some adults that are on the spectrum and everything, and they love playing pickleball, red ball, and stuff. So, we got all these adaptive groups, and that now led to us getting noticed by national chapters of adaptive pickleball. So now we're involved. They're calling us up now, and so we go now once a month as well to San Antonio Chicken and Pickle. There's another one up in Dallas, Heath. If you ever get a chance to go up to that Chicken and Pickle, and
I hear about it a lot.
Hang out with Nicholas Taylor. He is one of the top-rated pickleball players in a chair in the world, and he's phenomenal. We get to playing and talking with him and stuff. That's a guy you got to have on your show. He's got a lot of story, and he's a phenomenal person, man. And so he got us involved, with his groups and everything. And so we're always trying to bring together events where we could bring all these different type of adaptive players together to play, and that's what it's all about, just bringing the community together. And
sure, yeah. And
pickleball is a very social sport, especially with the senior players. It's like, hey, that's how we interact with other people. If we're home retired, we don't really have anybody to talk with. so that's how we get our social on and stuff like that, is going to the pickleball courts and hanging out with these people. When I started playing pickleball, I probably had about 2 friends. Now I have about 2,000 people that I could call a friend, like, hey,
right. So, well, try doing a podcast. I know how it works. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Your network goes from this to just
to this, more people. It's just like, man, this is kind of cool. I got to meet this person, that person, and it just ballooned from there. Not like I said. So now I'm playing senior pro singles. And I've met so many different people. That keep and they know what I do and what we're doing, how to try to grow the sport in the active community. And they're just like, hey, we want to do something in our community. How can we, start a Max chapter? So, we get involved and we start a Max chapter wherever their location is. They got enough vets there, we'll start a chapter there, and we give them free paddles, sponsored by Gearbox. Gearbox gives us paddles for these players, balls, shirts, all kinds of stuff, that they get. So they don't have to, come into playing a game with the wrong equipment. We don't want them going to Target or whatever and buying that $5 paddle pack with the balls,
right.
Where the paddle is going to last a week or something like that, because it does get addicting. These people, they'll come to their first clinic, the first time, to come out and play with us. We show them how to play. And then by the third week they come out. Now they're playing almost every day, trying to find different places to play, at different times.
Right.
So that's what kind of ends up happening.
Right. I didn't have this on my radar to ask you, but how much does it cost to just go play pickleball somewhere, like on average?
Most places are free to play. right? You can
Really?
you can find courts to play almost anywhere that are free to play. You just got to find those city courts. A lot of churches now have free to play courts inside their gym.
Right.
One of the places you can look to find pickleball, actually, you could just Google it. But we're using Pickleheads now. Pickleheads will tell you all the places to play in your area and
Oh,
what it costs to play. But the entry fee to play pickleball is fairly cheap. That's why a lot of people are playing it. I can't go play tennis. Tennis, the entrance for a racket is going to cost me $200-300. The balls, another 30 or something.
right.
Tennis lessons just to get up to 3-0 level play is going to take me maybe 10 years of play. Whereas pickleball,
Right.
you can become a 3-0 level skill player within a couple of months playing.
Sounds like my
So
kind of sport.
yeah. So the bar to entry is cheap. I mean,
Mhm.
you can get paddles anywhere from $2 to $300. So the bar to entry is really cheap to learn how to play.
Right on. Are you also coaching too? Like you coach?
Yes, I coach. We have our a coaching company. It's called Gen X Pickleball, and so we coach around the country. We also host tournaments as well, scrambles, clinics, minor league pickleball events. We host those events. We do a lot of free events too in the community. Any organization that is a 501c, and that's nonprofit, and they want to host a tournament. All they have to do is just can't contact us, or one of the locations. A lot of locations will host these events for free for these 501cs, and not ask for any money in return to host them, or for club fees or anything like that. So all they got to do is just ask, and we're always trying to bring the sport to pickleball to other players and places. So what we'll do is, as the USA Pickleball piece of me, is we'll go and we'll line out courts for them. We'll paint them, stripe them, whatever they want to do. No cost to them. They just provide the materials. We'll do it for them. We get them
Wow.
free paddles, Generation 3 paddles. We'll get them nets, balls, and we'll go out and, we'll find sponsors to sponsor this stuff for them.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Where are you getting
Yeah.
the funds? So you're getting sponsorships to be able to pay for it.
Yeah. Get sponsorships to do them, or we'll use them. We have a nonprofit racket association. We'll host some events to raise some funds to get
Right
it for these nonprofit organizations.
Do you ever come up to the Dallas area and play?
I do. I get up there a couple times a year.
Okay.
And I got a lot of friends up there, pickleball friends. You go to
Well-
one place, and you have friends automatically. That's the deal with pickleball, man. I can show up
Well,
at any place with no paddle or anything in my hand. I'm like, hey, I need a paddle. I forgot it. You got a paddle? Yeah, I got one right here, man. You gonna play? And then you're in it. You're in it with the crew, with the crowd and stuff. Yeah.
well, next time you're
Yeah.
up this way, throw me a text and I'll come watch pickleball and see if I can figure out what the hell.
We'll
is
get
going
you on the court, man.
I know we got to get you on the court, man. We'll find you an intro to pickleball up that
Yeah.
way, And Chicken and Pickle up there has them all the time. I got to ask Taylor Nichols when they're hosting their intro to pickleballs at that location.
Well, it's funny. The first time someone said to me, "Hey, have you been to this chicken and pickle place?" and I'm like, "Oh, it's like they serve chicken and pickles or what?" I didn't realize it was associated with pickleball. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. They have a pretty smooth gig with what they do. They have really good food there. They have a real good ambience environment where it doesn't look like it's a pickleball location, because the
Okay.
way they build their environment around it, it's they have these like little cabanas and things like that, where companies, organizations can host parties and stuff
Oh,
like that.
okay.
And
Right
and
on.
people can play on the pickleball courts that there, and then they have some courts that are actually indoor. Almost all the locations have these indoor courts where, I mean, they're pretty much dedicated to hardcore pickleball players. They're just going there to play pickleball.
Right.
So
right.
but you wouldn't even notice those courts were there. You would think like, hey, is that just the end of chicken and pickleball? But yeah, the food is real good. They have good menus and stuff like that. Not just because they sponsor us or as an ambassador. for them, but they really do. I go to a lot of different clubs, and I host events at them. Work for different clubs, doing clinics and stuff. But I got to say, this is one of the best I've ever been to. I mean, they nailed it on the head when it comes to their environment and pickleball and serving the community as well. They do a lot of charity work for the community wherever
That's
they're
great.
located. Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned their name 100 times. We better get a free meal or something. Well, hashtag old chicken and pickle. We better get
I'll send you a discount code. I have some discount codes to give out. So I'll send you guys some discount codes. Yeah.
Well, man, hey, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. We really appreciate it. And first and foremost, thank you for serving our country. Thank you so much for that. We weren't like at our age, we're about 7-8 years younger than you or whatever. Nobody went into the military in the early 90s. It's like you never heard about our friends going in the military or whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't have that. I don't know what's the right word for that, but the feeling of friends around you going to do that, and then not. And then so our mindset is not, you really should be thanking these people for doing what they did, So
That's
thank
true.
you so
That's
much.
true. The Gen Xers, we weren't ones to, really, join the military type of deal. That was, if we did, it was something, either we had a reason for it or somebody really, wanted to be gun ho and be in the military. That wasn't me though. I wasn't gun ho. I just was looking for something to do,
Yeah, but it worked out
for me.
amazing.
Yeah,
it worked out great for you.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for coming on. But
thank
before we let you go, where should listeners go to play and learn and connect with you or whatever in their area? Just I guess Google it.
So of course Google or whatever. But our URL is genxpickleball.org. And on there we have our schedule of where we're coaching, where the tournaments that we're going to be having, or any kind of scrambles or whatever. So everything's listed. If you want to contact a coach, all you have to do is just contact a coach, and it'll take you. You can leave us a message, and it goes straight to our mail, to the team mailbox, and we send it out from there. Whatever coach it needs to go to. Yeah.
All right. So you hear that, all those fellas that are sitting down, and women too, doing nothing, get your butt up and let's go play some pickleball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Hey.
do it.
There's a lot of people losing weight just by playing pickleball.
Oh crap! Now I got to play.
Yeah. You gotta play. It's fun. It's so easy to learn how to play, and that's what makes it so much fun. Everybody's having fun doing it, and like I say, if you're not having fun that day playing, pack it up and come back another day. Maybe something's weighing heavy on your mind or whatever. But at least you got out there to go socialize. You don't even have to play. You could just stay there and socialize with people. And we do that all the time. And, sometimes I only play 2 or 3 games, and I'm sitting there, for 4 hours, and I talk 3 hours, we're just sitting there talking and having fun.
Oh, heck yeah, man. I'm a BS and champion of the world, man. I'll sit around and talk to people all day.
I'll have to say, there's
true.
not a time that I go out that I just don't laugh, like have the hardcore belly laugh and just have a good time. It's just every time it's fun. So
Is it because old people are falling down while they're playing, or is it
that's
actually
part of those happen.
part of it.
Just funny things. I don't know. It's just,
You will fall. So I tell you that you will fall. But like I say, we laugh at our mistakes. We laugh at our partner's mistakes.
Yep.
And you sure as heck better be laughing at the opposing team's mistakes, because they're going to be laughing at you.
Yeah.
So it is a fun community. It's not, snobbish like the tennis community. There's always music going on, people dancing, talking real loud, not like tennis where everybody's all quiet, just like,
right.
Let's see what it's going to do. So, but
quiet in me doesn't work very well anyway. So.
Yeah. But hey, thanks for having me come out on the show.
man.
It's pretty cool. Getting to talk to the community and letting them know, hey, there's something out there for you, man. If it ain't, this is what I say. This is the lazy man sport.
Yeah,
it truly is. But it will get you moving, and you'll be like, man, I am an athlete. At some point, you'll be like, hey, I'm an athlete, man. Look at this.
Yeah.
I've been a couple of years in now playing. I'm an athlete. I'm looking trim. My legs are looking toned. Can't do nothing about the belly though. But at least the legs will be toned.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. Thank you so much, George, again for coming on and telling your story and sharing everything with
Yes.
us. Lastly, before we go, I did want to say too. So we released an outtakes video this week with Peter Dante. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. If you don't know who Peter Dante is, Peter Dante, you'll know from all the Adam Sandler movies. He's been in all the Adam Sandler movies and whatnot, and he came on our show 2 or 3 times, and it's technical difficulties and also just difficulties because it's Peter Dante. You know what I mean if you know Peter Dante. He is the nicest guy, but oh my gosh, getting him to focus on something is super hard. So to top on that, I have been speaking with Peter a little bit here recently. We're going to try to have him back on the show. So people, whatever you believe in, pray, juju, whatever it is, pray that happens. We've been trying to get a show with him totally done for over 1.5 years now. Let's hope we can get it nailed down. And again, as always, go to randomnesspodcast.com, check everything out, and look for us on May 30th at Neighbors on 7th with Greatness and Tragedy, and come hang out with us. Thank you guys so much.
I'll be there that day.
All right, man. And and George will be there too. All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank y'all.
We're gone.